Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. And in today's Cephalabon contributor video, we're going to be taking a closer look at the two brand new fragrances by Gallagher Fragrances, Oh Hello, and this one is actually by the sister brand Pearlescent Parfums. It's called Tonkazure. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on these two brand new fragrances, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on these two brand new fragrances, one of them, Oh Hello by Gallagher Fragrances and Tonkazure by Pearlescent Parfums, and I also tell you about a special giveaway, I do want to start the video off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, if you are interested in participating in the giveaway, all you have to do is go on over to cephalabon.com. It's going to be the first link down below in the description box. All you have to do is just read through the article, and after you've become a registered reader, just leave a comment on the article. That's it. That's all you have to do. And just make sure to check back on over to cephalabon.com on the date that's specified in the article so you know if you're one of the lucky winners. Now, in a lot of the promotional images that have surfaced on behalf of the brand, you'll actually see both of these fragrances appearing in the images, right? So it's kind of released as a couple. They both came out at the same time. However, they're both quite different from one another. So the first one, Oh Hello, which I think is a really cool name. It has basil, bigarade, violet leaf, orange blossom, velvet wood, and patchouli. So this one is very citrusy, very herbal and aromatic, and they smell quite different. As I said, the second one is actually quite fruity. This one has champagne in the opening, so very fizzy, bubbly, sparkling, blueberry compote, blackcurrant, rosewater, iris, neroli, sandalwood, tonka bean, patchouli, and musk. What I can say is that both of these will cater to quite different crowds, and I'll make sure to break that down and let you know what my thoughts are regarding seasons and occasions and stuff like that. But nevertheless, I'm excited to give you my more in-depth thoughts on both of these fragrances, how they smell and how they performed on my skin. But let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation. So the first one that we'll start things off with is Oh Hello by Gallagher Fragrances. And of course, I've done a review of so many from this brand, Wicked Good and Perfecto, and the list goes on and on. I've tried to review everything that I could get my hands on, but this one, of course, is very citrusy, very sort of aromatic, herbal, perhaps even culinary, if I might add. So this fragrance opens up with that strong burst of basil. And I was thinking of other fragrances that contain basil, and the first one that came to mind is Green Lion by Hermetica, but that also contains mint. So it's this very bright, minty, sort of a mentholated fragrance that opens up your nasal passages. This doesn't quite have the same effect, or a similar effect, I should say, but you do get the basil in here, and the violet leaf is really, really smooth. It doesn't smell like petroleum. A lot of times when you mention violet leaf, people make that inevitable comparison to Dior's Fahrenheit, which definitely has that sort of burning asphalt, you know, petrol sort of a vibe. But this has the velvet wood, patchouli, orange blossom, bigarade. It opens up very citrusy, of course. So it does have that bright, citrusy, effervescent opening, but it's equally aromatic. And at one time, I thought I was getting either cassis or blackcurrant because there's something in here that smells kind of musky. And that's what I thought I was getting. Not too animalic or anything like that, because sometimes blackcurrant has a reputation of being quite animalic. But I love how this one opens things up in a very aromatic way without the use of, and it might be in here, it's not in the note breakdown, but it doesn't allow ingredients like lavender or clary sage to predominate the composition. And I think with a lot of modern aromatic fragrances, it does have this sort of overdose of lavender or clary sage or a sclarine molecule or something like that. So I like how basil is utilized to sort of create this island-like freshness, right? That kind of transports you, and it feels very nice and very warm and also cooling at the same time. Warm in terms of the sentiments, but in terms of the sensation, it's rather cooling, if that makes any sense. I love this one. I think this one is very carefree, very upbeat, very positive, very endearing with that cooling sort of sensation, but warm sentiments. It's really a wonderful fragrance. Now here you have something that's a little bit more playful, something that's a little bit more whimsical, if you will, and this is called Tonkazure or Tonkazure. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, if it's iambic or trochaic. I'm not sure what the pronunciation is. Pearlescent Parfums. This is the sister brand. And this has champagne, blueberry compote. I'm guessing the blue with the blueberry, and that kind of influenced the aesthetics of the packaging and the cap here on the bottle. Blackcurrant, rosewater, iris, neroli, sandalwood, tonka bean, patchouli, and musk. Oh wow. So it does open up with that sort of irisy, floral, fruity sensation. So this is a fruity floral perfume all the way through. I'm sure the wife has the final say when it comes to the Pearlescent Parfum compositions, and I can see this one being a very sort of a gender bender kind of a fragrance, perfectly unisex, gender neutral. Nothing in it is overtly feminine or masculine. I think a lot of people are kind of under that notion of if it's going to contain a lot of floral ingredients, especially coupled with fruits, that it would be floral leaning. But I think it has enough of the sandalwood, the tonka bean, and the patchouli to really make it a shared composition more than a feminine leaning fragrance or anything like that. So the rose, the blueberry, it's very fruity, it's lush, it's thick without being syrupy. And I think a lot of other fruity fragrances that I've tried, especially if they have cherry in there, it tends to be kind of syrupy, and that's not what I'm getting here. It's not viscous, it's actually very light and airy and even fluffy at times, right? So a lot of sort of warm, resinous, sticky, fruity ingredients have predominated fragrances that I've reviewed in the past, or the compositions of fragrances that I've reviewed in the past. But this one is actually quite light, despite that perceived density that you might get from the blueberry and the blackcurrant. And it's funny, I'm inclined to say I get more blackcurrant from Oh Hello than I do from Tonkazure, but interestingly enough, it does have this brightness in the opening with the champagne. I almost thought it said champaka. I had to read it again, but it's definitely champagne. It's very bright and airy. It's not overly fizzy. It doesn't smell aldehydic to my nose. Daniel might have used some aldehydes, but that's not what I'm getting. This one actually reminds me of like a really expensive soap, like a fruity, slightly floral, rosy, really expensive soap. So it smells flirty, it's playful, it's youthful, but it smells clean at the same time. So that's a really interesting dichotomy. I suppose with the neroli, the orange blossom, and some of the more citrus-leaning ingredients, it does give off that effect, and it does smell rather clean, and I enjoy it for that reason. So here you have one that is very much so on the bright, citrusy, herbal, and aromatic side of things, very unique. And then here you have one that is also rather clean and soapy, not as citrusy, more of an emphasis on the fruits and the florals, but they're both totally unisex, both done very, very well. And the quality of ingredients for both of these are quite high. So I would recommend that you try both of these out if you have the opportunity to do so. This is not a sponsored video. I am going to leave links down below. They are not affiliate links. I don't make any money from this. I'm just trying to help guide you in the right direction, and I'm hoping that my description for both of these fragrances has been helpful to you in some way. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I find both of these fragrances to be rather unique. Of course, with basil being in other fragrances that I've tried, and of course fruity floral compositions being quite rife in the industry, you would think that I'd be able to compare these to other fragrances, but I really can't. And I feel like with Daniel Gallagher, he does produce unique fragrances that I haven't really been able to compare to anything else. There's only one that he's put out that I was able to compare to Ambre Narguilé by Hermès or Owajan by Parfum de Marly, but aside from that, I haven't really been able to compare any of his fragrances to anything else that is kind of trending or popular. So there's always a certain level of uniqueness that has kind of established itself as a benchmark as far as the quality and originality of his fragrances is concerned. In terms of the longevity, both of these fragrances did really, really well on my skin. We're talking 8+ hours. Projection for both of them was quite good. For Oh Hello, I want to say that the projection was probably a little bit louder, about an hour beyond an arm's arm's length. Tonkazure was probably about 45 minutes within an arm's length. I would say they both became an elbow's length scent right around hour 5, skin scent right around hour 8 or 9, and the longevity of performance for both of them is quite good. They're both pretty strongly concentrated as well, I should mention that. Versatility for both of these, okay. I think both of these are great for the hotter weather. I can see myself actually wearing Tonkazure a little bit into the fall, and I think with Oh Hello is more of a spring and summer scent. With Oh Hello, I can see myself wearing it casually and formally. I think with Tonkazure, it has that sort of fruity sweetness and that playful vibe that makes it more of a casual fragrance. And if I had to say one leans masculine, one leans feminine, I would say Oh Hello leans a little more masculine, Tonkazure leans a little bit more feminine, but they're both perfectly unisex if I'm being honest. And Oh Hello would probably cater to the sentiments and the likings of somebody who's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced dealing with niche and indie fragrances. And with Tonkazure, it's probably catering to somebody who's a little bit younger, just because of that fruity, playful, slightly sweet vibe that you get from it, the tonka bean, the creamy sandalwood, the sweetness of the fruit, so on and so forth. The presentation for both of them is very nice. I know with the presentation for Gallagher fragrances bottles, it has been revamped a few times, and I think every single time is an improvement. My final verdict on both of these fragrances is I truly think that they are wonderful. They knocked it out of the park with both of them, both, Daniel and his wife. They're both doing a wonderful job with these brands, and, hats off to them. Much respect to both of them. If you're looking for two unique, wonderful fragrances, perfect for this time of the year, you want to smell unique and original, you want to own something that not everybody else has. This is not a Creed Aventus or a Baccarat Rouge by Maison Francis Kurkdjian or anything like that. These are totally brand new, unique, and original fragrances. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope my review was helpful in some way. If you did take something of value from this video, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon and click where it says enable all notifications so that you can be kept up to date whenever I do publish these videos. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It would greatly assist with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.